This is Season 2, Episode 38 of the Out of the Minds podcast. I'm Sean Oakley.
And I'm Sam Cooper, and we're back with a Seppi versus Seppi.
We are back in the new year. We are down to the hardcore testing for Sith Taker Open in, like 3 weeks now?
Yeah, and by testing you mean my list is already locked in, I just need to flight a bunch, and you're working out what to do with 8 points.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, right? Pretty much. So yeah, let's jump straight into the list. I pretty much knew from no, actually, we'll do yours first because yours is nice and easy because you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm running my list from the Tin Nationals, my good old 8-ship swarm. We've got a Geonosian prototype with shells, Kraken, and the stabilizers. Another prototype with energy shells, sync laser cannons, and stabilizers. Then we have 5 Vulture droids, all with shells. One is DFS 311, and 2 are Howard Child prototypes, and the last 2 are Trade Federation drones, so all I-1 with energy shells. And then last, and kind of least, is Cad Bane in the Rogue, with proton cannons, engine upgrade, the Xanadu Blood title, and probe droids.
Yeah. Nice. And we know it's good.
It's a swarm of ships with missiles, and I got probe droids, so I can get some sneaky locks.
And Cad can do a million things when I kill one of your Vulture droids.
Exactly. Although hilarity in this game, I misplay. I will get into it, but I would say I misplay Cad, and I get lucky it doesn't cost me.
Yeah. So I obviously went to Nationals with a Separatist list. It was the 3 bombardment drones with prox mines, fuses, and struts. Sunfac with afterburners and ensnare and predator. And then the 2 Geonosian prototypes, one with Kraken, one with sync lasers, and then both with shells. And obviously that list got a slight nerf in the recent points update. But actually, I quite frankly think not enough to hamper. I mean, the biggest thing I think would be losing afterburners on Sunfac.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's list breaking. He can now take Grivovic, which makes him a little less susceptible to one shots. He can take targeting computer, which is quite nice because just sometimes he's dodged out, doesn't have a shot, just wants to take a lock.
Yeah.
The Geonosians had nothing, so they're good, they're great, they're still very efficient 3-point ships. And the bombardment drones lost the point for delay fuses. Fine, you just, I suppose, have to be... It takes it from the... I suppose it's the get out of jail, isn't it? You can't just lob it, go, all right, I've missed, fuse it because I'm going to fly over it. But you still... They're still as potent as ever, you just got to make sure they're going to hit.
Yeah.
Or the gamble's worth it. And it's still 5 health behind 2 greens that can steal calculates from other people.
Yeah.
Like, even without the bombs, I think that's efficient points. So yeah.
Let's be real. If Geonosian prototypes weren't 3 points, and therefore just probably and just more efficient 3-point ships, you'd probably see more hyenas.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's the list I took, and I have been tweaking it. And I've kind of run down two veins, I suppose, two tracks. And one of them is going down the bombardment drone track. But I was trying to work out is basically trading out one of the Geonosian prototypes and one of the bombardment drones, and then you bring in Grievous and DFS 311. 311 gets shells, so although you lose a prox mine, you get another shell.
That's never bad.
It's a 2-point ship, which means it's always kind of, if it dies, unless you're really unlucky and it just splats, your opponents probably put more effort into it than they should do. The flexibility of passing a calculate is always nice. But you also get Grievous. And Grievous, for 4 points, with Impervium and Soulless one, I think you just lob him at the enemy, and if they want to shoot him, cool. He's going to, more often than not, tank far more than he should.
Yeah.
And again, it's just a lot of effort for 4 points. And then you get Sunfac, and Sunfac be Sunfac. So that's one vein I'm going down. You've still got 2 Prox Mines. You've still got Kraken keeping calculates around because you've got many droids that want it. You've still got 3 shells to fire. But the other one I was looking at it was trading out Sunfac. And what I've done here, and I've basically traded out Sunfac and the bombers. So I've kept the Geonosians because, again, really, really efficient. I've got DFS and General Grievous that we've just talked about in this list, and that leaves me with 8 points that would have been a bomber and Sunfac. But instead, it is Django. Because
yes,
Django, I mean, what do you think? He's an I6 fire spray for a start.
he's always going to be solid.
Yeah. He is a hammer. He's not going to get one tapped. And it's just making, I suppose, life more difficult for your opponent by giving them hard choices. Do you go for Django? Do you go for Grievous? Do you try and take out the low agility ships but aren't worth very many points? And then making sure that you punish them, whichever choice they do. Go for Django? Cool. Roll up with the others and shell them, So yeah, that's where I'm at. And I'm using the podcast to test the fire spray at the moment, and Club Night to test the other ones. So we might see this for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and yeah, you might see this exact matchup, in fact, for a couple of weeks.
And yeah, so my Django build is basically the Slave One title, because you'd be silly not to. Contraband proton bombs, Composure, because actually on the fire spray, want to try that sneaky boost? Fine, doesn't quite fit. Cool, you've got yourself a focus.
Yeah.
And then I've got 14 points left over. 14 points, 13 points. How much is Dooku?
Dooku's 12.
12. All right, I've got 12 points left over then. And so I am denied about Dooku because we know Dooku's good. But I've opted to go for Chancellor Palpatine and delay fuses. Because I've played against you enough times to know how much of a pain in the rear it can be when Palp stresses you.
Yeah.
Fuses gives me more flexibility on the proton bombs. And at some point, I may well want to flip Palp into Sidious, coordinate someone just before I'm about to die, and net them a focus as well as whatever I've coordinated. There's more options, I suppose.
There's more options. I will say, when I saw Palpatine, I was like, Palpatine, that's interesting. Because Palpatine's stress mechanic works great on Maul because you have so much force, whereas... I guess against maybe not my list, where I'm like, well, I'm shooting at you with 8 ships that are like 2 points. Which one do you stress?
Yeah. Now, I will fully admit that I was not necessarily thinking about your list.
Yeah. But if you put another stress on like a Rey or a Luke,
well,
that's relevant.
I was thinking like something like, oh, I'm flying against Chris, and he's just done his Commander Poe on himself, stressed himself anyway.
Yeah,
and or anyone who is already stressed, if you can get that second stress on, then But yeah, that was my thought process. So let's jump into today's match.
We're playing Assault,
which interesting. You've got 3 more ships than me, but I've got a medium base, so
so it kind of evens out.
Yeah. And safe has. I am first player for the entire game. This game.
Yeah. You literally rolled. The closest we got to was we drew once.
Yeah. So yeah, we won't need to run into that. I am always going first. Excuse me. So I set up. Basically, I I can't joust you, so I kind of need to get the objectives to spread out as far as possible. And so what I do is I put my one on my side in the centre as far away as possible. And I shouldn't have done that. What I should have done was stuck it in one of my corners.
Yeah, because like then it's just as far away as possible, and the DFS can hover there forever.
Yeah, well, it's not even
Whereas
that.
whereas in the center, it's just generally going to be closer to the stuff, right?
Well, what I realised afterwards, after we'd started placing, and it got to me placing one on my side, I was like, I can't stop it being a cluster on one side because I'm first player.
Yeah.
Because you do your objective.
Yeah, and then you
which is effectively the same on your side.
Yeah, because I basically put it as far back as I can. Oh, not quite as far back as I can, I don't think, but like pretty far back
close.
in the center.
Yeah.
Standard stuff. Like if a rock gets there, then a vulture droid's probably going to sit on it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, so whichever side I put it on now, you're just going to put
on the same side.
You're going to put one on the same side. Whereas if I cornered my one, at least I'd have the option to put the one on your side in the opposite corner.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. And then I make my second mistake. I did not do well on it because I put mine on your side, on my left as I'm looking at it. I don't put it up as far as possible. Oh, no, actually, it's not as much a mistake as I thought because I forgot about the range 3. I put it basically as far away from your bottom one and the centre as I can, making it so that basically as far away as from where I know you're going to put yours, which is as close to it as possible within my line. I don't think I could have got much further right without swinging back into the other one.
Yeah.
And then obviously you stick yours as close as possible.
Yeah, I stuck mine basically as close as I could to the centre line and as close to the centre of the objective. So we basically have like essentially there's like a triangle of objectives. There's like a line down the centre, and then there's 2 objectives to the right of centre, basically hovering around that middle one.
Yeah. You've brought the 3 Pride of Mandalores, as you do.
As I always do.
I've brought the 3 small rocks because only one of my ships can land on them, so let's keep them out of the way.
And I believe you pick up one of my big rocks, and essentially we alternate.
Yeah, like basically, I try and create a cluster in between the objectives, basically on the left hand side as much as I can.
Yeah,
because although you can land on rocks, the moment you land on rocks, you're predictable.
Yeah,
and you have a swarm, and it makes it harder to get through with some landing, some not.
Yeah, it does make it awkward. And essentially, I was just putting rocks directly in between pairs of objectives because I was just trying to dissuade Django from sitting in between 2 objectives and contesting 2. Because even if you did that for a turn, that's just probably 2 points you've almost got guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I was trying to basically say, like, okay, Django doesn't get to sit in the middle of 2 objectives for a turn, and if he does, he's on a rock.
Yeah.
And sometimes that might be the play, but I want it to cost you.
Yeah, that's fair. So we go to set up,
and then we run out of space, and I slap the mustache rock in your right hand corner because I literally just ran out of places to put it.
That's fair. So I set up DFS directly below the Pride of Mandalore rock that's on my side. It's just left of the centre line of objectives. And
then all of my vultures get deployed. And so I essentially deploy facing along the right, basically facing to my right-hand corner, because if I then travel up the board edge and turn in, I'll be moving into where there's two-ish, 3 objectives. And because I have the pro droids, I want to buy a little bit of time before I actually pick a fight with you.
Yeah.
So essentially, I have a line of 4 vultures facing to the right, and the front row is 2 vultures. Then there's there's space behind there for 2 Geonosian prototypes and a Cad Bane to slot in.
Yeah.
I'm not being subtle with my deployment.
No, exactly. The moment they went down that way, I was like, right, he's going to do his normal thing. He's going to go around there. So I set up my 2 Geonosians. I set up the Kraken carrier directly below the objective on my side and the sync laser cannons to the right of him. And this is a mistake, and I do it every single time I play vultures by forgetting that the damn things don't have a 1 straight. Every time.
And if they had a 1 straight, it'd be glorious.
And so what I've done is I've set up the I2s in the way, because I've set up the FS as far back as possible. I've set the HMPs up as far forward as possible. And basically what I've stopped myself being able to do is 1 hard.
Yeah.
So I've committed to going faster than I want to already. It's irritating. But it is what it is.
My Geonosian prototypes join the vultures. They basically... Essentially, my deployment ends up being 3 columns of 2 directly in parallel facing on my right hand, and then Cad Bane is slightly off to the left because he has seen where Grievous is going.
Yeah.
Because Grievous gets to deploy first.
Yeah, so Grievous goes to the right of the Geonosians, because I'm like, okay, I know what Sam's going to start doing with the vultures, and I don't know where Cad's going to go, but I've got a reasonably safe assumption. Yeah. And I'm not sure I really mind Grievous going against Cad, because all right, you've got the proton cannon, but that relies on me going first, which at the time we didn't realise would constantly happen.
Yeah,
and
impervium plating.
Impervium plating, exactly. But as well as that, I was thinking, if I gun Grievous, maybe I can just start chipping a few shots at the back of vultures where I start getting rerolls and stuff.
Yeah, and I'll admit that was a thought for me, as we'll get into a sec. But now I've seen where Grievous goes. I deploy Cad, and I deploy him at the back of my formation, but slightly to the left, so he's not in line with my vulture, because I'm eyeing, basically sliding him past one of my Pride of Mandalore rocks, and I'm looking at it thinking, okay, if I do a 5 straight, I'll be able to just slide past here, and I can go and start launching probe droids, lining up the proton cannon against the gunships of the vulture, and just being a general annoyance. Because Cad in my list, he's just there to be annoying, because he's awkward to kill. He's got 7 health behind 2 greens. He's got a proton cannon, which is always dangerous, and he's just there to throw probe droids at you.
Yeah. And then I'm left with Django. And I set up Django on my left-hand side. Precisely where I know your swarm's going to go. I'm not stupid enough to lob him at him. What I'm hoping to do is try and skirt past as much as I can, drop a proton bomb, start putting crits through on your 3 health ships. Because I don't think initially I'm going to win on objectives.
Yeah, you're going to need to chip some people off.
If I can accept going a little behind on objectives, if I can get a or 2 proton bombs on a few ships that I can then start chipping away at, I'll turn it round. And we all know what a boosty fire spray can be like, so...
Yeah.
So yeah.
I do think it is funny how both of us, because I'm also I'm happy to go a bit behind on objectives as I can set up the locks and then nuke you, and then you're like, I'm happy to go a bit behind on objectives if I can just proton bomb you. It's like we're playing like one of the most objective heavy scenarios, and we're both like, I don't mind going back on objectives as long as this happens.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get into
Spoiler
it.
alert, neither happens really.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I 2-bank DFS because my first thought was I'm just gonna 1 hard him around that objective for the rest of the game and be happy and merry. And he takes a calculate.
All of my vultures 5 straight and calculate. Just along the edge of the board, going as fast as they can. Because if Django is coming this way, I just want to set up and be like, all right, run the gauntlet, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of arcs, a lot of shells. If you're coming this way, you're probably taking some, and I just do need to chip off Django as much as I can.
So I do a 2 straight with both the HMPs, which go in front of DFS, and annoyingly not quite enough, I think, to get a 1 hard behind him. I'm not sure if it clips the back corner. So
he might. But...
That's annoying, but it is what it is. They both calculate because I'll be keeping them with Kraken.
My gunships do a 5 straight and calculate.
And then Grievous does a 5 straight and just boosts, because I don't want to stress myself. I ideally want like either another fast straight or a bank that isn't a 2 bank.
Yeah, so my CAD does a 5 straight, and I take a cloak because as much as I would like to try and boost and line up the proton cannon on Grievous, I'm just not going to slide past the rock. So I'll take the cloak and accept the decloak next turn.
Yeah. Django does a 3 bank because I didn't want to overcommit up to the top corner and not be able to get away. And this would give me the option to boost 1 forward and come in between a gap between the small pointy rock and the Pride of Mandalore. But looking at where you've set up, I opt to boost to the left because I can then come in through the next gap. And I'm hoping to basically come in through the next gap and boost through the gap next to that, past the majority of your ships.
Yes.
Is the hope.
So, only 1 shot, Grievous into CAD. I have 6 defense dice, and I dodge your shot.
I mean, you have 6 defense dice, and you only get the 2 evade you needed.
Only barely dodge it. But, you know what? That is average.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, my Kraken is easy, but I keep the 3 guys that have it.
My Kraken was tricky, because what I want to do is keep the calculates on the gunships, but with where Django is... I keep it on the 3 vultures who I think are most likely to be able to target lock you.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate that I'm not going to be able to shortly. I also launch a probe droid, I 3 bang it out in front of CAD, and we're going to try and yeet it into the center and see what we can do.
Now, I have an interesting one here, because I've got to try and work out where you're going to decloak CAD to.
I know, right?
Because I was like...
Lots of choices.
If Grievous wasn't where he was, I'd be like... He's going to decloak forward and bank in. Line up the proton cannon. But I was like, if he thinks I'm going after the droids, does he decloak to the right and then just like 1 hard in behind me?
Yeah.
Or,
so that's the interesting thing, isn't it?
Or if you go first, 1 hard and block me, so I can't get after them. Like, yeah, it was an interesting choice.
Yeah, but for me, I already had the inklings of a plan, and it's basically my usual CAD gamble of there's a little bit of a queue where your vultures and Geonosians are. So I was like, I reckon I can probably line up a bullseye, and I can just start chipping some damage in, maybe even punching the vulture off the board straight away if I'm lucky.
Yeah. So
anyway. I moved the probe droid towards the center and backwards. Maybe I should have gone more towards your side, and I might have just snuck into range of Django, but I didn't think it was going to be possible, so I just moved towards the back, trying to basically stay relevant and make it so that you don't get multiple rolls to kill the probe droid, because I quite like it to be around if possible. And then I decloak straight forward with CAD.
So DFS does I think it was a 2 bank, and calculates... No, I barrel roll into a calculate. Why did I barrel roll into a calculate? I can't remember. Oh no, because I still thought there's a chance you were going to 1 hard, just to give yourself options of... Or a 2... Are any of your hards... 2 hards are blue, right?
No, they're not.
Oh, well, there's me not playing the rogue class enough.
My blues are 1 bank, 2 bank, and then 2 and 3 straight.
Fair enough.
Maybe 4 straight as well, actually. But
I should have looked at that before
So after that, all of my vultures do a 3 hards to the left, except for DFS, who does a 1 hard to the left. The 3 front vultures all take target locks. Django's not in range of either the Pro Droid or anyone, so I believe I get 2 locks on Grievous and a single lock on your red gunship, so your Kraken carrier. And then the last vulture on that right-hand side does a calculate. DFS does a 1 hard and barrels to the left and calculates.
So I was curious why the 3 hard and why not something slower?
Because it's either the 3 hard or the 2 hard, because the gunships can't 1 hard. What I want to do there is 1 hard.
Yeah.
But I was like, if I go with the 3 hard, I should just sneak in range of that objective, and then that lines me up to zoom past the rock and maybe even catch Django if you've either been a little bit scared or you're not quite positioned so you can boost out of the way.
That's fair. Whereas,
But my primary thing was I want to try and just sneak that objective.
That's
and if
fair.
Django is there to beat me, that's fine. You're sitting in front of my entire swarm.
Yeah, I just thought a 2 hard would give you more chance of getting Django if I do try and dive past.
Yes, I thought about that as well. But I was also conscious of the fact that I also don't want Grievous just blasting me in the side. So if I can go as far out as I can, it limits Grievous's options. And that's the reason DFS didn't do a 3 hard, because I didn't think DFS would be able to avoid that.
That's fair.
So I thought DFS or 1 hard.
Make sure you're...
I don't know if I put a stress there or not. I thought I barrel rolled, but I might not have. Either way, I do calculate. The idea being that he's trying to basically not give Grievous rerolls, and he's sitting on an objective.
Let's have a quick gander. We'll see if you barrel rolled.
I must
you
have done.
did barrel, and there is a stress there.
There is a stress there. He's underneath the ship. There we
go. So my yellow Geonosian prototype does a 2 bank, sits in between the Vulture and Grievous, facing down Cad, and he target locks Cad. And I do a 5 straight with red, which is white thanks to the stabilizers, and I flipped it on both those guys. And he takes a target lock, and I also lock Cad because he's the only one in range.
My Geonosian gunships do 3 hards. The synced laser cannons carrier is lined up behind the rock, so he flips the stabilizers open, and they both calculate.
Grievous does a 3 bank, because I wasn't expecting DFS to come this way, and I just wanted to give myself options of... I was worried like a 5 straight and boost just wouldn't swing it round enough. I go over the probe droid and kill it. And I opt just to take a focus here, I believe. I thought about the boost to the right, but then I didn't want to just be sat there stressed with no blue hards. Simple. Or blue 1 banks.
So Cad does a 2 bank, clears the stress, and I take a target lock onto DFS.
And then Django does another 3 bank, and boosts 1 forward to dodge the majority of the shots and put a rock in between the others.
Yeah.
So I am now about lobbing a calculate over from DFS, and I give it to Grievous.
I decline because DFS is facing down Django and Grievous, and I think he might need his calculate.
Django goes into DFS and rolls 3 hits.
I roll blank focus, so I spend my calculate and take 2 damage.
And then Grievous goes in and spends the focus for 3 hits.
And I roll 2 blanks, and DFS dies. Unfortunately, DFS is not in range of Cad Bane to get me free action. But so Cad then shoots the proton cannon at your DFS. I roll 2 hits, focus blank. I spend the lock on the focus and the blank, and I end up with a hit blank. So after the proton cannon, it's hit, crit.
I roll evade focus, so I spend my calculate for 2 evades.
But you can't because it's a proton cannon in the bullseye.
So it's hit crit, and the crit is a fuel leak.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Cad has not killed DFS. So the gamble has not quite paid off. I'm probably taking a couple of shots from Cad, but it's not the end of the world just yet.
So my yellow goes range 1 into Cad. I roll trail mix. I've got 2 locks, so I reroll the focus and the blank, and I spend my calculator to end up with 2 and a crit.
I roll evade blank, so that's the shields gone on Cad Bane.
Red has no shot, so it goes over to your 2s.
Yep. So I just start firing shells into Django with my gunships.
Red gunship.
This is red gunship, so he fires the shells, end up with hit, focus, so I spend the calculate for hit, crit.
It's obstructed, but I only roll 1 evade, so I take 2 shields, and I opt to spend the force there to stress you.
Yes.
Basically, because I didn't think it likely that you'd want to 2 hard, So at least I'm forcing you to go straight. There's no...
Yes. There's no sneaky two-banking from that gunship, really.
Banky.
So my other gunship also fires the shell at Django. I roll trail mix, and I spend my calculate for hit crit.
I roll 1 evade, so that's another shield. I got 1 left.
And then I believe I have a range 1 shot from the Trade Federation drone into you.
Yes, but before you...
DFS first, though.
Before you do, I lob DFS's shell into CAD. I roll blank hit, so 1 hit.
I roll blank. I take a damage. And then my range 1 shot ends up with 2 focuses and a blank, and I spend 2 calculates to end up with 2 hits at Django, and I believe you dodge it.
I dodge it, because it's still obstructed, so...
Yeah.
Get 3, get 2 evades. And then I believe we just score 1 each on the objectives that turn.
Yes, because you've got the centre, and I have the far right. But I am down a ship, so it's 3-1 to you after round 1. I launch up my second probe droid at the back. It's just going to go sit there and just let me get locks on that half of the board if you end up over there. There's nothing really that spicy about it. Kraken, you keep the calculator you have left, and I keep the calculator you have left. So I've got it on 2 vultures, and you've got it on Grievous and both of your gunships.
Yeah.
And then I almost make the game-losing mistake of the game here.
Fair.
But I don't, and Sean never realizes it, because as I'm setting my dials, 3 of those vultures are doing 3 hards. And then I remember that you have proton bombs, so they all get reset.
Damn it! Damn it!
Then I remember that Django has a proton bomb, so I reset all of the dials, and then I look like a genius. But so most of that formation was doing a 3 hard right up until I remembered the proton bomb existed.
Fair.
I knew one of my vultures couldn't avoid it, and I was like, well, you know what, he might not even land on that rock, so we won't worry about the proton bomb.
The funny thing is, I very nearly fused this bomb. Very nearly.
Interesting.
And I don't know if I should have or not, because it's obvious it's coming. So if it's obvious it's coming and you've gone slow to try and avoid it, or you're going to barrel roll out of it, well, then suddenly it's another turn. All right, obviously you don't have to, but then you've still got to get past it the next turn.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I didn't opt to fuse it. I opted to go for glory. So, yeah, drop the proton bomb. I'm still first player, because I always am.
My probe droid moves randomly. The probe droid basically doesn't matter for the rest of the game. I've got some locks. It's accomplished some of what it was meant to.
Yeah. So DFS does a 2 hard to the left, clears his stress, but then barrel rolls into a calculate to just try and block CAD if he's done a fast straight to go down for that bottom objective.
Yeah. So then I do a bunch of 1 hards with my vultures. The vulture lands on the rock and calculates. The Howard Child prototype behind him barrel rolls to the left and calculates to try and dodge the proton bomb, and the remaining 2 vultures do 1 hards, and I believe one of them calculates and one of them target locks Django.
Yeah.
Because I was like, actually, depending on where you are, I'm likely only getting shots with gunships against you, so let's put a lock on you. Set up the shell lock, and also the gunships get rerolls.
Yeah. My yellow gunship does a 2 hard side slip, basically just trying to keep CAD in arc, because I've managed to plink more damage than I expected through. We'll keep that up, and he takes a calculate. Red does a 2 hard to present the side arc to CAD, or a shell towards where I think the swarm's heading, and I calculate as well.
So my yellow gunship, whose side slips are open, does a 3 hard side slip to the left. Basically, essentially going right was tricky because there's a bunch of vultures there.
Yeah.
And going left, I was like, okay, maybe I can sneakily catch Django out if you're trying something tricksy. And try and block you on the bomb. I didn't think it was likely, but I was also like, I don't think Grievous can hit me because he's got to bank the other way. And then my stressed gunship does a 3 straight, and I barrel roll to the right just to make sure I'm out of the proton bomb, because at this point I was like, I'm not shooting, let's not take 3 damage. I can just 2 hard next turn and everything's fine.
Yeah. Funnily, I almost yeeted Grievous through the rock fast, and the fact that I thought you might do something like that is the only reason I didn't, and I'm really glad I didn't. Grievous does a one bank to the left, and then just stays where he is, because I don't think a boost nets me much, except possibly putting me in range of more shots.
Yeah.
Maybe I get one shot onto green, but I don't think that really does me any onto brown. Sorry, but I don't think that does me any favors. Where at least if I sit here, I've got to focus, I've got to calculate, I've got the Soulless one rerolls.
Yeah.
So
and I had dialed in a 5k with CAD, so I unfortunately bump into the back of DFS. And this was just greedy. Like, essentially is what this was. I was minorly concerned about the gunship just stopping in front of me and keeping CAD off the point, because the idea here was CAD was trying to get onto that back point and just, either prevent you from scoring or chip a point in my direction.
yeah.
And then face back this way to try and, just plink a little shot. I do unfortunately bump to the back of DFS, but it's not the end of the world, because I think you're in my bullseye, and I only need to deal 1 damage, and sometimes a range 0 can do it.
Yep.
And then once I've done that, I can just happily boost onto the point.
And then Django does a 4k, flips contraband, and I think I'm looking at like 4 possible shells here. So I red reinforce. And this is the mistake that cost me the game.
Yeah, because as it turns out,
there
are not 4 shells.
That is not the mistake. This Django is, but not the reinforce. Yeah. What I should have done was 3 banked to the right. Because the fire spray is just as potent out the back as it is out the front.
Yes. Yeah.
I've got a proton bomb to discourage you from chasing me.
Yeah.
And I can then turn in and go after. I'll think of it in a minute. CAD, as there are options, and we all know how much a 1 hard boost swings around if I need to. Or I could have 4K'd contraband and boost in, the next turn. There were so many more options.
It's interesting, because you said, if you had free banked, you're just shooting out the back at me, and you're functionally doing the exact same thing as you are now.
Yeah.
It's my chasing is really awkward.
It's my biggest problem, because I'm aggressive. I'm just so used to flying at people that flying away from people seems weird when you're trying to be aggressive, and I need to get the headspace. The fire spray can just do that because it's the fire spray. It just shoot out.
Yeah, because had you 3 banked, because essentially what you've done now is you're basically jousting my swarm. It's like it's not like 100% like, yes, we're flying at each other, but functionally you're flying towards most of my list.
Yeah.
Whereas you don't need to be, like. And even next turn, like, even Grievous can turn away if he's not feeling it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
because you've got 3 ships around the back, like, that are contesting objectives. Like, if you can just run away with your big boys and force me to chase you, because I would have to chase you.
Yeah.
Like, at least with something. And then if I don't chase you with enough, Django will just kill a vulture droid a turn. Well, maybe not a vulture droid a turn, but like deal enough damage.
It's not a trade you're going to win unless you.
Yeah.
But
like this, the red reinforce, you're double stressed and facing me.
Yeah, and I mean it's hindsight. I mean, we played this game yesterday evening, so I've thought about it a little bit, and we knew at the time that the reinforce was what cost me, as you'll see in a bit. But I particularly just watching it back now, when I saw where Django was, I was like, I should have just gone away and then 1 harded in the next turn, because even then the droids aren't really fast enough to keep up with that.
Yeah, especially if I'm trying to not get bombed.
Yeah,
it's like I could 5 straight after you. If you didn't have bombs, I could 5 straight after you, and I could just keep plinking. And in a vacuum, I probably have enough to kill you eventually, but I can't do that because there's a proton bomb.
Exactly. But now my bomb's facing the wrong way.
Yeah, you're double stressed.
I'm double stressed. So yeah,
awkward.
But
the shooting begins.
And I'm trying to work out what to do here. I've got to range 1 shot into the yellow Geonosian. But I've got to range 2 shot into green, who's facing me. And so my thought...
And it's taking a crit.
I opt to go into green. because
I think this is the correct choice.
Oh, by the way, the crit was a damage sensor array. Not that it really matters. The reason I opt to go into green is my thoughts were, if I can get him to... Now, admittedly, this is going to sound stupid because I had a blind spot where the HMP was concerned, and you'll see the flaw in my plan. But my thought process was, if I can shoot him and he has to steal Brown's calculate, that's one... Oh, to be fair, because I have got another ship that can shoot at him before he'll shoot. If I can get him to use his calculate and Brown's calculate, that's 2 less shells coming in at Django.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, actually, no, did green? Oh no, green didn't fire. Green had a range 1 shot. That's what I'm thinking. It was
But yeah. So that was the thought process.
Well, I think shooting at green is correct because the gunship can't do anything this turn. It is just sat there with a calculate. The vulture can fire a shell at you. A double modded shell if I'm feeling spicy at the Geonosian prototype in front of me. He's probably not going to. He's probably going to shoot Django, but the point stands.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So you may as well try and remove me because you've got Django and the Geonosian prototype can shoot at that vulture before the vulture gets to do anything.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the thought process. I roll crit hit eyeball, so I spend my force for hit crit.
I roll double evade, so I take a crit, which I believe is a disabled power regulator. So much for that double modded shot.
Yeah. My Grievous has no shot.
I shoot range 0 into DFS 311. I roll crit blank.
We have a chat about thing, but I rolled an evade, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Then it goes to the 2s. So yellow goes range 2 into the side of Cad. I roll blank blank. I've got 2 locks, so I reroll twice, spend my calculate for 2 hits.
I roll evade focus, so that's another damage on Cad. I've got 3 left.
And then red, I've got a choice here. I can go range 3 obstructed into green, range 2 obstructed into yellow, or I've got a range 2 shot into Cad. And I think I opt for the range 2 shot into Cad. No, I don't. I fire a shell. That's what I do. I fire the shell obstructed at green.
And I think this is correct because whilst you don't have the rerolls, I only have 1 health, and all you need to you just need 1 blank on my dice functionally, or like a couple of blanks on my dice, and I will die.
Yeah. I rolled trail mix, so I spend the calculate to end up with hit crit.
And I rolled triple blank. So don't worry, I've got plenty of blanks where that is, and my vulture is dead.
And unfortunately,
again,
just
out of range of Cad, so Cad doesn't get to do anything sneaky. But not the end of the world. I've misplayed Cad, but as long as Cad is alive, it's kind of okay.
You've misplayed Cad, but I don't punish him for it. Is the problem?
So my gunships have nothing.
So
your vulture has nothing, and then it turns out only one of my vultures has anything. So I fire the shell at Django, and I roll hit crit crit.
I roll blank blank.
So the reinforce cancels the hit.
The reinforce cancels the hit, shield, and the crit is a direct hit.
So, and then it turns out my other vultures don't even have any shots.
So all right, technically, the reinforce saved 1 damage.
Yeah.
But I don't know actually.
Well, the thing, the reinforce did potentially save multiple damage because crit could very well have been fuel leak direct hit, right?
No.
Well, no, it would have been direct hit and something else.
It would have been direct hit and something else.
So we'll never know if it helped at all or didn't matter in the slightest, but at least it blocked 1. And I guess actually the blocking 1 is the more important bit because that becomes relevant shortly.
Yes.
Objective-wise, I believe you have 2 and I have 1.
Yes.
Because both CAD and DFS are out of range on that back objective. I have the far right, and you have the centre and my home objective.
Yeah.
And I'm sweating a little bit here.
See, it's funny because I'm looking at this going, all right, I'm 7-2 at the moment, but I'm going to lose 8 points this round. I don't think Django survives. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, right, I need to take out at least a vulture, if not 2, to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, because what I was thinking here was that Cad's in trouble Cad doesn't have an easy way out. Doesn't involve them getting shot by. Because in my head, I was like, well, the Geonosian prototypes and DFS can just turn on Cad, remove Cad, and then the Geonosian prototypes are also scoring objectives whilst they're doing this.
Yeah.
My vultures need to go and finish off Django ASAP. My yellow gunship probably has to just stop and hope that Django bumps because I need to stop him where he is. And then my Kraken carrier just has to too hard and hold an objective.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, oh, Cad's in trouble. Whilst I thought I was going to kill Django, I didn't think it was guaranteed because Grievous and Django could just kill 2 vultures out of hand.
Yeah. I think
especially now we're getting into the range 1.
Yeah, I think even so, I think Django would go. But yeah. So we go into round 4, and this is where I follow up with the second big mistake. Because I don't go after Cad. And I should have.
Yeah. I was terrified you were going after Cad, and I was just like, okay, Django has to die, and Cad has to get lucky.
So, I do a 1 hard with DFS. The 2 gunships and the vulture for me kept calculates.
And my 2 vultures that didn't shoot and my gunship that didn't shoot kept their calculates.
So I just 1 hard to basically just try and block Cad again.
You know, I didn't check range to my gunship. It looks like it's in, but that's close enough.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Anyway, my vultures, the 2 back vultures do a 2 straight. One of them lands on the rock. The Howard Child lands just to the right, and my other Howard Child does a 4 straight and calculates because I'm trying to block Grievous. Because my gunship is going to stop, and I want to basically stop Django exactly where he is, so he's at range 0 with my Howard Child, because my vultures are going to be the ones who are going to be doing the killing, and the gunship just needs to stand there and be annoying. But for that to work, I need Grievous to just bump and not wheel around and one shot and like do a big hammer blow into something.
Yeah. So we go to my 2s, and these are the 2 that I cock up on. I do a 3 straight with red to bring him into the vultures, and I move a target lock onto your yellow gunship. What I should have done was hard turn him to the left, probably a 3 hard to the left.
Honestly, like 2 or 3 hard would have been good, yeah.
And then I 5 straight with yellow to bring him in and move his lock. And again, he definitely should have just 2 harded.
And chased after Cad with the Sync laser cannons.
With the Sync laser cannons.
Now you don't do that, I'm happy. So my gunship facing the rock and trying to block Django just does a stop, flips the stabilizers, and my Kraken carrier does 2 hard, clears the stress, and I believe I calculate rather than taking a lock this turn. Yeah.
I attempt a 2 hard with Grievous. It does bump. I take a red focus.
Yeah, and then most importantly to me, I'm like, okay, he can't shoot the gunship, and he's at range 0 with my Howard Child. I'll take it. Cad does a 1 bank to the right, and because nothing's really shooting me, I just don't take any red action. I'm denying the objective from DFS by my existence, and again, maybe I'll get lucky and blinker damage.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. So DFS did his job. I just didn't follow it up with the gunships. Like I would have had you. No, not bang to right, but yeah.
Well, I would have at the very least had to have focused and be stressed. Like maybe I live, dice are dice, but I would have to be stressed.
Yeah, which narrows options.
Yeah.
And then Django does a 1 bank, gets rid of one of his stress. It bumps into the back of Grievous, but it would have gone past Grievous, so no roll for damage. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is not great, but if I can kill Brown and then see where we go from there, there are options. Like I can shoot a lot of your droids with calculates. Maybe I can't strip enough to stop the shells coming in, but I can strip some for mods. So I do the range 1 into Brown, and I roll 3 blanks and a crit.
So basically the worst, or almost the worst it could possibly be. Like, sure, there's a paint, but this is not what you needed.
Yeah.
And then I roll double evade just to really.
Django goes range 0 and rolls focus.
Grievous range 0.
Grievous, sorry, and rolls focus hit.
I roll evade focus, so quite literally, I have completely negated anything you would want to do.
Yeah.
CAD then rolls range 0 into DFS, and I finally put that damage through.
Yep.
I trigger my ability, and I take a target lock on your red gunship, because, hey, my gunship can shoot at you, so may as well give himself a reroll.
Yeah. Red, what do I do? Is this shooting out the side? Yeah,
You're shooting at a gunship of some sort.
I shoot out the side. I'm shooting red out the side into your yellow. Because I don't have any shells left, so, and at this point I've not done anything to brown, so I end up with 2 hits.
Yeah. I blank, so I take 2 shields.
And yellow, I believe, fires the sync laser cannon. Nope, this is a shell.
My gunship.
It's a shell.
This is obstructed, so I roll.
I end up with hit crit after spending the calculate.
I roll blank focus and then spend a calculate to get an evade, so I take hit crit, so shield and a crit, which is structural damage. My Kraken Carrier then just shoots into your Kraken Carrier. I end up with 2 hits and put a shield through, and then I start firing shells at Django.
Yeah, and you kill Django.
I kill Django. It takes all of the vultures shooting to do it at the very least, but Django does die.
Yeah.
And so this was the swing turn, basically. Grievous and Django didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And arguably, they should have killed the vulture.
Because if Brown dies, that's 2 more points in my favour, but you don't get that top point.
Yeah.
I think that's the more critical thing, because Brown, I think, claims at least like 2 points in the next couple. Yeah. This turn, next turn.
Yeah, because basically my Brown Vulture not dying and Django dying means that I have 2 ships to Grievous on that point. Yeah. So then I suddenly get 3 points of objective to your 1, and I'm up to 15-8.
Yeah, and suddenly you've got 6 ships to my 3.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot I can do. Like, I should have gone... Like, the biggest mistake was the 4K with Django.
Yeah.
And the secondary mistake was not going after Cat.
Yeah, because essentially also what you've done is you've made it easy for me to follow up on the prototypes.
Yeah, exactly.
And also I'm at the point where I'm looking at like, okay, I need to start thinking about objectives.
Yeah, because it's gone from 7-2 in my favour to 8-15 in your favour.
Yeah.
So yeah, not ideal. So you scored what, like 13 points that round?
I got 8. I got 11. Oh, I got 13. DFS died. That's who I'm forgetting. DFS died.
3 objectives and Django.
Yeah. So my Howard Child that was just face to face with Django does a 2 talon to the right. He's just there hoping to hold the objective. My other gunship, basically, my other vultures, the one on the rock rotates 90 degrees to the right, trying to catch your gunship as he comes across, and the other Howard Child does a 2 straight and calculates, basically trying to semi-block Grievous and then also double up on the points. Should Grievous stick around, it also clears up space so that my side-slipping gunship can basically slip around at the bottom and try and get away from your gunships.
I 2 hard red in front of the rock. I flip stabilizers and I move my target lock onto pink. I do a 2 bank with yellow, and I believe I calculate.
I do a 1 straight with my Kraken Carrier, and I target lock your yellow gunship. I 2 hard side slip to the right with my other gunship, and take a calculate. I don't have good odds on living with this guy. I've got structural damage and 4 health, but I'm going to try.
Grievous bumps into pink and takes the red focus.
Yeah, I believe he tried a 2 bank, it looks like.
Yes, it was a 2 bank.
And bump, take the red focus. So now I'm still 2-1 on that back point, so hopefully that's enough. Then Cad does a 3 bank to the right around the rock, and I boost straight, I think. Basically lining up the objective and getting ready to swing around at your gunships, or Grievous, depending on who is in the line of fire.
So Grievous range 1's into the yellow gunship, and I spend the focus for 4 hits.
My gunship dies. Cad shoots range 2 into your red gunship. I roll a single hit, and I think you just dodge it.
I dodge it. So my red goes range 1 into the back of pink. I roll hit blank blank. I've got 1 reroll. It rerolls into a blank.
Notably, when Grievous shot my gunship, my pink Howard Charles used his ability and target locked one of your gunships.
Yep.
Happy days. But pink has taken 1 damage after I roll
And then
back.
yellow goes.
Sync laser cannon.
Sync laser cannon. Yeah, it must be. I'm guessing either into blue or thing. I rolled 3 blanks, so no rerolls out there.
So, my gunship range 1's into your red gunship because there's a couple of locks on it. After rerolls, I get 3 hits.
I got 1 evade. So down.
The last shields are gone. A vulture shoots range 1 into your gunship, and I get 3 hits.
I blank out, so 3 damage.
And then I have a range 0 into Grievous, and I get 1 hit.
Which I take.
And then my last range 1 into Grievous, I roll hit, focus blank. I spend my target lock that I took on turn 2 into 2 crits.
I, after a Solus reroll, end up with 1 evade. So the 2 crits.
You take the 2 crits.
I believe it was a shield and the shield and a crit.
Yes,
and the
shield
crit.
And stun pilot.
Yes, was stun pilots. No impervium.
And then objective-wise, I score another 3 to your 1. So it's currently 18-12.
Yeah. And
at this point, I'm like, okay, I don't have to do much.
Yeah.
And I will just win this. As long as loads of stuff doesn't suddenly die, which is pretty unlikely.
Yeah. Normally I'd call it there. I play it through and I'll just let it run. Basically, I have to try and kill Cad and stop him claiming. Like, it doesn't work. He nukes the last Geonosian off the board.
Yeah.
And it is
essentially all my vultures reposition so that they're claiming an objective. My last gunship goes straight to tie the middle, and Cad does a 2 straight trying to line up the bullseye onto your gunship that was in front of the rock, and I succeed. Grievous shoots at Cad. I take 1 damage and have 2. I fire the proton cannon at your gunship. After the target lock, I have 2 hits, 2 crits, and I kill it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we literally call it there.
Yeah, because that puts me on to 21, and then I also score another 3 points.
Yeah,
so I would go to 24.
Mate, I think if we were playing tournament, I would have carried on because I would have shot you with a sync laser off yellow on the chance that I kill Cad.
Yeah, because the sync laser might have killed Cad, and then that is points for a tournament, right?
It's 4 points, and it would take at least one of the points away from you as well. But yeah. The game was lost way earlier, as we've already discussed. Right.
Yeah, because I think, and that's also kind of how that's how my list works. If you give my list an inch, it just takes a mile.
Yeah,
it feels
like. Yeah, definitely.
Because, okay. Also, mistakes aside, that was an insane swing turn of the dice as well. Django did not roll well, and whilst my shells had mods, I didn't have reroll mods, and there weren't blanks on the dice. I just had all the calculates I needed.
Well, that's dice. Dice are dice.
Yeah. So I think it definitely wasn't helped by the fact that I did just have an insane swing.
True, but as I said, I expected Django to die that round.
Yeah,
but he shouldn't have been in that position to start with.
Yes, he shouldn't. He should have been probably not getting shot because I would have had to hemorrhage myself to avoid your proton bomb.
Yeah, when I did the 4K, if I'd done the 3 bank and thought I was too close but still wanted to shoot, hell, I could have reinforced to the rear. At least then I've got a 1 bank or up to a 3 straight to clear it, and it's only a single stress.
And it's the same with my CAD. The 5K was hilarious. In fact, I feel like our 2 biggest mistakes were K turns.
Yeah.
Because the 5K it was just greedy. It was pointless. Because I was just like, oh yeah, I'll claim the point, and then I'll shoot back, and then I'll just move after whatever I'm doing. Blah 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 blah. I could have just done a 2 straight.
Yeah.
2 straight. Focus or target lock your vulture. Probably kill it.
I was gonna say you probably kill it without the range 0 there.
Yeah, if I have mods, I'd probably kill it because you wouldn't be able to mod.
Yeah.
And then I can do my free boost and claim the point.
Yeah.
It was just greedy. I was just like, there's no way he's going to block my 5K, and then I watched you do it, and I was like, oh, he's blocked the 5K. Well, poop.
Yeah.
So your list is solid. I think, it's
Like the
Django fell into the bait. Django fell into the bait of forgetting he has a rear arc.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just down to me not flying fire sprays enough. All right, or for a long time.
And heck, if you don't do the 4K, you don't have to contraband that turn. So you can 3-bank, reinforce the rear, contraband next turn, and then do whatever you like.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. But hey,
yeah,
lesson learned.
The palp was definitely annoying. Like, so it found value even against this list because that Geo didn't really want to be doing a straight move.
No, I didn't think you would, which was the reason why I picked that one. And then, unfortunately, I didn't get another chance to use it because Django died, I had to use it on defense for the odd chance that I managed to survive. Although, I do wonder whether I should have... I used it on the first opportunity because it's like, it's an extra evade. But I was like,
I still think that's correct.
Is it? Do you not save?
Yes, No, I don't think you said it because you might never roll it again.
True. But if I don't roll it again and I die, then I have the opportunity to stress you and make life harder on the next turn.
Yes, but at that time, it would be vultures who would be unstressed, right there. So you'd be putting a single stress on a vulture.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Like, again, like, maybe it's different if there was if depending on who was shooting at you, it's different. With what I was shooting at you, you spend that force to try and live and worry about it later.
Oh yeah, like if it got to
because putting a single if you never roll a focus, then stress me on the last one.
Oh yeah,
but because you did roll a focus, try and live because that one extra damage saved could well have been the difference between Django living and dying.
Yeah,
because I only killed you by 1, right?
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, we'll wrap it up there because we've pretty much done it as we've gone through this week. I mean, there's every chance we'll be back with this exact matchup next week, and
we'll see. We'll see. If we play the game and it just turns out the exact same, we'll probably do something slightly different because no one wants to hear us talking about the exact same game twice in a row.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, we'll do it early enough that if we need to play a second game, we'll play a second game.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair,
I'll try and play the opening slightly differently because I've sort of locked into this opening because it just works. But maybe try something slightly different next time.
Yeah, I mean,
like going along my board edge just seems to work because it just buys me a turn to get probe droids out.
Yeah, that's fair. Right.
Wonder if I can do something different. Anyway.
We will wrap it up.
We should probably call it there.
Yeah. So see you guys next week.
See you guys next week with more Sith Taker practice.